GoTo is Indonesia's version of Amazon and Uber. The company is a result of the merger of tech giants Gojek and Tokopedia, and Gojek's founder, Nadiem Makarim, became the youngest Indonesian minister, and another minister's brother became the president commissioner of GoTo. GoTo was hailed as Indonesia's Decacorn, Indonesia's pride. And through Tokopedia, GoTo takes pride in digitizing small businesses, and through Gojek, GoTo sought to fill the missing gap of last-mile delivery and affordable transportation. It went public at a valuation of $28 billion and rallied to more than $30 billion when its share price was at 404 rupiah. But within just 8 months, its share price fell by 80%, falling to 82 rupiah per share before recovering by 40% to 115 rupiah per share, valuing the company at about $9 billion. In this video, I'll be breaking down the rise and fall of Indonesia's Decacorn and its ongoing quest to recover. I'll be breaking down this video into 3 parts. Firstly, what are GoTo's businesses? Secondly, why their share price fell more than 80% from 404 rupiah to 82 rupiah in 8 months. And thirdly, what are their strategies to recover? Let's go. Gojek and Tokopedia is a super app that categorizes its plethora of services into 3 categories: on-demand, e-commerce, and financial technology. 2 metrics to measure GoTo's performances are GTV, or gross transaction value, and gross revenue. GTV is the total value of transactions resulting from GoTo's ecosystem, and gross revenue is GoTo's revenue cut. For example, if you purchase an iPhone from Tokopedia worth $1,000 and their commission is $50, $1,000 will be recognized as their GTV and $50 will be recognized as their gross revenue. In 2021, the year before their IPO, their GTV was massive, standing at $3 billion, $15 billion, and $14 billion, and their gross revenue was $663 million, $404 million, and $75 million. And though smallest in terms of GTV, their on-demand services was the highest in gross revenue, and on the other hand, their fintech services represented 43% of GoTo's GTV, but only about 7% of their gross revenue. While many methods exist to value a company, we'll compare GoTo's numbers to similar companies in other markets. Comparables are an essential method to assess the value of a company, as during the early days of any startups like Tokopedia and Gojek, they valued their startups during fundraising by comparing themselves to similar companies to more advanced nations like the US or China. A simplistic example, if eBay's GTV is $10 billion and their market capitalization is $15 billion, or a 1.5x GTV multiple, means if I have an e-commerce in Indonesia with a GTV of $1 million, I'll be seeking a valuation of $1.5 million. Obviously, the actual valuation depends on many other variables such as the management team, the annual growth rate, and the market in that specific country, but still, you get the idea of how comps can work. Comparing Amazon's 2021 annual report, Amazon at the end of 2021 had a market cap of $1.7 trillion and a net revenue of about $470 billion. Their cost of sales was $270 billion, representing 58% of their net revenue, sales and marketing of about $33 billion, which is 7% of their revenue, and G&A of about 2% of their revenue, and Amazon spent 12% in technology and content. Amazon also booked a net income of $33 billion, which is a 7% margin. Now, how does it compare to GoTo? GoTo had a net revenue of $301 million and cost of sales of 83% of their revenue, sales and marketing of almost 200% of their revenue, G&A 172% of their revenue, and they spent 55% of their revenue on technology for a total loss of $1.5 billion, or negative 494.5%. This is mind-boggling because for every dollar that GoTo generates, they pay almost $2 in sales and marketing and $1.72 for G&A, and for every dollar that GoTo generates in net revenue, they lose almost $5. And to give additional context, the year prior to Amazon's IPO in 1996, Amazon's margin was negative 38% or minus $6 million from a revenue of $16 million. In 1997, on the year of their IPO, their margin was negative 21% or minus $31 million, while their revenue grew 9x to $148 million. In 1998, 1 year after their IPO, their margin was consistent at minus 20%, but their earnings grew 4.1 times to $610 million. Within just 2 years, Amazon's revenue had grown 38 times compared to the year before going public, while posting a minus 20 to 40% margin. Now, you may be saying, Amazon does not have a ride-hailing or an on-demand services like GoCar. Maybe they have a different number. Okay, what about Uber? We compare Uber's 2018 number, which is the year prior to their IPO, since we would like to understand each company's performance during and before their IPO. Uber had a $10.4 billion in revenue, and they spent 46% of their revenue as cost of sales, 30% in marketing, and posted a profit of almost $1 billion, which is about 10% of their business. In 2021, they grew their business to $17 billion and lost just 3%. So through these comparables, you can get a sense of just how insane a negative 495% margin is. And adding salt to the wound, huge American tech stocks like Google, Amazon, Netflix, and Microsoft are also facing a tough 2022, affecting the appetite for tech stocks. So GoTo's net margin of minus 494.5% is a baffling number, resulting from too much VC money for too few startups. And before the current tech winter, the mantra was growth at all costs, even if it meant losing $5 for every dollar that you earn. But once the dust settled and investors returned their focus on profitability and free cash flows, GoTo's share price falling 80% did not come as a surprise. But GoTo's financial result is only part of the story. What exactly happened in November that made GoTo's share price fall even further to its all-time low of 82 rupiah per share? The answer is lockup period. Let me explain the concept and purpose of lockup period. A lockup period is a period after an IPO in which shares cannot be sold by company executives and investors. There are a few reasons for lockup period, but it is mainly to instill confidence and stabilize the share price. Imagine going public and the founders sell all their shares on day one. It would definitely show a lack of confidence in the company, since the founder, someone who knows more about the company than anyone else in the world, is giving the impression that they would like to get out of the company as soon as possible. And GoTo's lockup period is split in two. Series A shares that are locked up for 8 months and Series B shares that are locked up for 2 years. And Series A's lockup period ended on November 30th, 2022. And Series A's lockup period plays the most significant role because they account for more than 96% of the shares. And in comparison, Series B's shares are only 3+%. So, on November 30th, 2022, GoTo's lockup period for Series A ended. And the next day, circuit breakers halted GoTo's trading activities for 8 days in a row. And during COVID, circuit breakers will be activated if a stock declines 7% in a day. And this drop resulted in GoTo's share price falling from 151 rupiah to 82 rupiah in less than 2 weeks. So, the mantra of growth at all costs, the current tech winter, which affected the global tech stocks, and the opening of GoTo's lockup period are the three reasons why GoTo's share price crashed. Now, how did GoTo's stock rebound to 115 rupiah per share? The short answer, GoTo has demonstrated a clear path towards profitability. They did it to 3 fronts: revenue optimization, cost management, and ecosystem product growth. Essentially, these 3 initiatives improved their net revenue from 303 to 753 million US dollars while reducing their net loss or improving their net margins from negative 494.5% to minus 356%. At first glance, an increase in a loss of 1.5 to 2.7 billion dollars does not seem too encouraging. But there was a $730 million loss on an impairment of goodwill. The bull sees that as a one-time cost, and if we exclude the loss on impairment of goodwill, their margin has improved from minus 494.5% in 2021 to minus 259% in 2022. Revenue optimization prioritized structural improvement opportunities in both on-demand services and e-commerce, and GoTo aimed to develop new higher-margin revenue lines that target high-quality, profitable users. Essentially, when money was cheap, one of GoTo's growth strategies was to provide customers with subsidies. In the early days, I remember a time when I could get a 50 to 80% discount on a ride from my house to the office or 50% discount on a restaurant. It was a super aggressive marketing strategy, but now they've decided to scale back those incentives to pursue revenue growth with better cost management. And all in all, focusing on profitable customers and numerous cost-saving initiatives have resulted in $183 million in variable cost savings, which is a 34% year-on-year reduction in fourth quarter of 2022. And most importantly, these cost management initiatives allow GoTo to reach a positive operating cash flow without additional external funding. And GoTo is expecting a 60 to 65% reduction in annual cash burn in 2023, which is really important for investors, especially during this tech winter. And another advantage of GoTo is its ecosystem across Gojek, Tokopedia, and GoPay. Specifically, if I shop through Tokopedia, Tokopedia sometimes only shows Gojek as its instant delivery option. And when it shows its competitor Grab, it's often placed slightly more expensive so that users will pick Gojek delivery by default. Or when I order food using Gojek, I often get discounts if I pay using GoPay or Pay Later. And this competitive advantage is believed to provide GoTo with an edge compared to its competitors that do not possess this ecosystem and have helped drive GoTo's GTV and gross revenue. GoTo is undergoing a massive challenge, going public during tech winter, high inflation, and post-COVID economic recovery. But they expect to reach a positive contribution margin by the first quarter of 2023, which is really important. And GoTo also expects to reach a positive adjusted EBITDA by the fourth quarter of this year. But in the face of tough competition like Blibli, Bukalapak, Shopee, and Grab, will GoTo continue its journey and become a dominant player in the on-demand services, e-commerce, and financial technology services? After all, looking at the examples of advanced nations, tech companies are typically monopolies or oligopolies. Amazon has a 47% market share, while eBay has a 6.1%. Google has an 89% market share, and Bing has 6%. Apple and Android almost evenly share the mobile operating system. So if the hypothesis is tech companies must either be an oligopoly or monopoly, which e-commerce or on-demand services in Indonesia will survive and become the winner? If you'd like to see our analysis on C Limited, the holding company of Shopee, Garena, and Cbank, and why its share price declined by 87%, you can click on this video. If you want to understand how you can make your first $1 million, you can click on this video. Thank you, and I will see you guys again in the next video.